Hello everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. It is Monday afternoon, time of this recording. Me and my friends just got back from RetroCon last night. We went there for the weekend. Check it out that the logo was kind of like a throwback to the Return of the Jedi movie marquee logo. That's really cool. But I love this convention. I've been going every year for the past 7 years, except for 2020, which was because of the lockdown. But every year, I've watched this convention get bigger and bigger and bigger. And last year was the 10th anniversary, and I think that's where it really reached its peak. There were a lot of people there last year. There may have been too many people there last year for the size of the venue that they were in, that people were shoulder to shoulder. It was really crowded, really uncomfortable, like walking down the aisles, trying to check out what was going on at tables and booths. You really couldn't stay and like check something out. You didn't have a lot of time to look because you knew there were other people behind you that were trying to get to what you were looking at. But this year, they moved it from Hall C, where it normally takes place, to Hall A. Hall A is much larger than Hall C. Probably about twice the size. They had more vendors there. They had more people there, but it was a very comfortable. It was much more comfortable, a lot more space, and it was great. We had a blast. I love this convention. I don't know how big this convention is, like outside of the Pennsylvania area. I don't know if this is one that gets like nationwide coverage. I do know that when we're in the parking lot, we can see license plates from like Jersey and New York. But those are states that border PA. I might have mentioned that like I live on the opposite side of the state, so me and my friends that go, we have like a 5-hour drive to get to it. We leave Friday afternoon and we're there Friday night. We see the show Saturday and Sunday, and then Sunday after the show, we just leave straight and come back. And we have a blast. For me, this is kind of like the start of the holidays, that there's RetroCon, then there's Halloween, then there's Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and boom, it'll be 2024, and we'll be ready to start the whole cycle over again. I just have a blast at this convention, and there's so much goodness that shows up. They have some great guests. They have people signing things. They have panels. They have contests. There's just a lot to do, a lot to see, and a lot to buy. So while we were there, hold on, let me pull this up for a moment. Okay, so while we were there, we had the one and only Sam J. Jones, who was there, also known as Flash Gordon, and he was signing autographs. He sat in, he did a panel. Getting to ask him some questions and listening to his answers was an experience. Wasn't expecting to get contracting advice from Sam J. Jones, but that was something to experience. A lot of laughs were had listening to him talk. That was really great. It was a really fun time. It was really good getting to hear him. Also, we had some voice actors that were there. Katie Lee, who was Sheila from Dungeons and Dragons. Also, Sunny from the Gummy Bears, and Rolf the dog from Muppet Babies. So if you were a kid growing up in the 80s, you heard her voice. You may not have realized it, but you heard her voice somewhere. She was also Honker, I think, from Darkwing Duck or DuckTales. One of those two. I forget where Honker came in. No, Honker, I think, was Darkwing. So she was also Honker for that. So she did a lot of voices for shows that we watched growing up in the 80s. Another voice actor was Kathy Garver, who was the voice of Firestar from Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. And that was really cool, getting to hear her talk. They both sat in on a panel, Kathy and Katie, both sat in a panel, talked about voice acting, talked about what it was like in the 80s, talked about what they're doing now. It was really cool getting to hear them, that they can still like shift into those voices effortlessly. It was fantastic. All of them were signing autographs, but I've never been like an autograph kind of guy. As a matter of fact, there's only like 2 people that I can think of recently that I really wanted to get autographs. One of them was at RetroCon. It was Melanie Britt. A few years ago, the voice of She-Ra. I got her to sign something. And then the other one that I would have liked to have gotten his autograph was Kevin Conroy. But unfortunately, he passed away before he was able to make it to the Steel City Con where I was going to get him to autograph my Batman the Animated Series figure. So those were the only two I can think of. I don't know if there's really anybody else that I would be like, oh, I got to get his signature. Maybe Arnold. That might be the only other one. But so I didn't get anything autographed, even though I have the Firestar figure, but it was really cool getting to hear them talk. And then the headliners of the convention were Tom Wopat, John Schneider, and Catherine Bach, the original Dukes of Hazzard, that they were all there on sort of like a reunion thing. They were signing autographs. They also held a panel, and they pretty much closed out the show. Their panel was great. Getting to hear them talk was great. Listening to the stories, I often forget how young they actually were. Like John Schneider was 18 when he first landed the role in the Dukes of Hazzard. And it was surprising to hear how much they actually drove the General Lee and how many General Lees they went through while they were performing. But it was really cool listening to them talk, telling stories, talking about their time on the show, what they've been doing since then. Of course, Schneider talked a little bit about Smallville while we were there as well. But it was just really good listening to them, getting to hear them talk. Now, aside from them, there were also some vendors that I normally hit up. And let me just start off by saying this, that when they changed from Hall C to Hall A, I'm guessing there was a scheduling conflict with something else that was already going on in Hall A. Because when they changed to Hall A, they changed the date. RetroCon came up much faster in the month this year. Usually it's towards the end of the month, like the second to the last or the last weekend of the month. This year it was pretty much the first weekend of the month, right? Yeah, it was the first weekend of the second weekend of the month, but it was conflicting with the Baltimore Comic-Con, which is a huge show from what I understand. I've never been there, but I get that it's like a big show. And there were a lot of vendors like Geek Boy Press, who was somebody that I buy something off of every year when I'm at RetroCon, who was already committed to the Baltimore Comic-Con, so he couldn't make it to RetroCon. I was disappointed. Like, it didn't like ruin the convention for me, and I'm not blaming anybody for this, but it was a little disappointing, like not being able to see a lot of the vendors that I've been seeing for like the past 7 years or so since I've been going to this. But there were vendors that were able to make it, and I was able to pick up some stuff from them. And as far as the artists go, there are these two. They are sisters, and one goes by the name Kathy, which I'm assuming is her name, and that is her Instagram. I will put a link to that in the description below. And the other one goes by the name Potatobuns, which I'm guessing is not actually her name, but she goes by that online. I'll link to her Deviant Art page in the links below as well. Both of them are really good artists. They do a lot of fan art, very anime focused, but they also do some other things, as you can see from this She-Ra and He-Man chibi print of them riding into battle, yelling for Grayskull. I normally don't go in for, like, I think this is cute, but I normally don't purchase art that looks like this, but I just had to because it's She-Ra and Adam. It's the twins, and I love these two. I'm not a big He-Man collector, but these two together, I am a sucker for anything like that. Now, there was another piece that caught my eye, and that was this. And this was done by Kathy, and this was an original piece. And you can see it's called Witness, and I really, really liked the look of this. She was kind of excited that I bought like the original piece, and she was kind enough to sign it for me, so that's really cool. Like I said, I will put a link to her Instagram and her sister's Deviant Art page in the links below. Another one that I got to see is a cosplayer named Monica Claire, who I think is local to like the Philly Oaks area. I think she lives around in that area. And I first met her a few years ago when she was here, or when she was at RetroCon, when I bought this picture off of her when she was cosplaying as Supergirl. And I really liked that one because Supergirl in the shorts, not a lot of cosplayers go to those older looks for Supergirl, and I really appreciated that she did that one, so I picked that one up off of her. This year, I spent a little bit more money at her table when I bought all of this, And you can see I got the 2 pictures and her first and second novel that she is writing. The novels are based on a character that she created called Sandstorm. The character's real name is Adira, and it takes place in ancient Egyptian times. That Adira was a Hebrew slave that sort of gained powers and freed herself and her family, I'm assuming. I say assuming because I've only gotten through the 3rd chapter. Like I said, I just came in last night. I was reading this today. I got through the first 3 chapters, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm glad I picked up both books at the same time because she was kind enough to autograph both of them, as well as sign both prints of her as Hawk Girl and as Clara from Doctor Who from a very specific episode. I really liked that episode when the TARDIS was shrinking. That was funny. There was a lot of good stuff in that. So when I saw her dressed up as Clara in that episode specifically, I picked that one up as well. Like I said, her name is Monica Claire. I will put a link to her Instagram down below. I will also put a link to her novels on Amazon if you want to check that out, see what they're about, maybe pick them up if you want to. Now, with all of that talky talk out of the way, yes, of course, I bought some stuff while I was there. I bought some stuff that even I was surprised that I picked up. So let's take a look at that now, shall we? So the first thing we're going to take a look at is this Cobra officer that I bought from the G.I.Joe Classified series. And there's nothing really special about him, nothing that stands out about him. I got him in the packaging. I got him for basically retail price. And the reason I got him is because I wanted to start getting something that would add to a collection that I already have and would also just like be a monument, be a touch point, be something that connects me to that date, to that convention. Sort of like, and I don't think I need to tell anybody watching this what I'm talking about, but sort of like the Boba set over on Toy Galaxy, how Dan Larson tries to find a Boba Fett whenever he goes to a convention and he just adds to it. This is what I decided I wanted to do. Pick up a Cobra Trooper, a Cobra Infantry, or a Cobra Officer whenever I go to a convention, because G.I. Joe is my #1 fandom, and by getting this, I will add to the ranks of army building, my Cobra forces, so that I don't have this need to buy all of these troopers, all of these infantry, all of these officers at once, knowing eventually I'm going to fill out the ranks. I chose the officer because, quite honestly, he's probably my first favorite of the Cobra army builders. The second one would be the, I think it was the infantry. It was the Cobra Island exclusive, the one that comes with the long barrel, like long-range sniper rifle, has the goggles that come down. It's kind of a specialist. And then there would be the Trooper. I'm not real big on the Vipers. I've never been big on the Vipers. This has always been my favorite. So this is one of the first things that I picked up at the convention. And of course, what would a RetroCon be if I didn't pick up something for my Wonder Woman collection? And in this case, I picked up the Dorbz Wonder Woman Bombshell vinyl collectible. And I don't really pick up the Dorbz too much, but I saw her and I just really wanted to get her. I don't have anything for the Bombshell line yet. And that's kind of a disappointment to me because I really want that Bombshell figure of Diana that came out a few years ago from, I think it was DC Direct. I bought one once and I bought it as a gift for somebody else, but I was never able to pick one up for myself. But I really like this. This is just adorable, hence the name. It's so small. It's so cute. It's going to stand out on the shelf. It's going to look great with the rest of the collection. And this is by Funko, isn't it? These things are by Funko, I think. Or are they not? I honestly can't remember who makes, oh yeah, Funko, right there. So this is the one and only, probably the only Dorbz I will ever get, but I just wanted to pick this up for, Bombshell Wonder Woman. Well, next up we have more for G.I. Joe. It turned out to be kind of a G.I. Joe weekend as far as the collecting went. Only it went in a direction I wasn't even expecting it to go. These are all 12-inch Joes. Now, these aren't vintage 12-inch Joes. I know that for a fact. I got them The gentleman that was selling them, the vendor that was selling them, had a $10 price tag on each of them. They didn't come with any packaging. They don't have all of their accessories. I'm not even sure the accessories that they do have are the ones that they're supposed to come with. But I didn't really care about that, honestly, because I'm just getting into the 12-inch line. If you saw my video with the Fig Zero Storm Shadow, link right there, I mentioned that G.I. Joe has its roots in 12-inch figures. This was the first action figure. Without the 12-inch G.I. Joes, we wouldn't have the term action figure in our lexicon. And I wanted to start getting into that. And like I said, I know these aren't vintage. I'm pretty sure these all came out around, around 1997 when they were doing that reissue of a lot of 12-inch figures and updating the 12-inch figures, updating it as far as articulation goes, as far as like the armed forces goes. Like this obviously is a soldier from the Desert Storm era. I mean, you can tell by the camo pattern. This is a soldier from the Vietnam era, I'd be willing to bet. You can tell by the camo pattern, you can tell by the face paint, you can tell by the hat that he's wearing. I'm not sure that the belt fed, the M60, is the accessory that he came with, but it definitely fits the time period, it fits the setting. The belts that go around his body are very pliable, very flexible, and they snap and unsnap at the back. The belt that he's holding right here actually goes into the gun, but you can see it's also like painted differently. It has different deco on it. So like I said, I'm not sure all of this goes together. You can even see that one boot is larger than the other. But I didn't mind about that because $10 each or 3 for $20. So I got these 3 for $20. I'm not sure this is the weapon he is supposed to have, but he looks good holding it. Also, he has a pair of goggles. Where are they? Right here. He has a pair of goggles that came with him. They're very fogged over, as you can see. They don't fit around his head at all. The elastic band has lost a lot of its snap, so it won't even fit properly over the helmet without sort of just falling down. So I'm just going to set those aside, maybe find a different band, find some other way to strap those around his helmet later on. And then, of course, we have right here in the middle, Dwight. Like, Eisenhower, man. Come on. He was the only figure that I could find at the table where this gentleman was selling that was an actual named historical character. So I had to get him. And he's another example that after we got back to the hotel room, we looked him up because this one has G.I. Joe right there on his uniform. Let's set him back. This one also has G.I. Joe right there on his uniform. But Dwight doesn't have it anywhere on him. So I wasn't entirely sure if this was actually a G.I. Joe figure or if I just basically bought a 12-inch Dwight D. Eisenhower doll. But we went back to the hotel. We looked him up. He is a Joe, and there is a lot that is missing with him. He's supposed to have a different lid in addition to this one. I think he had a gun belt along with a 1911. But like I said, I didn't mind about the lack of accessories. I just wanted to get these guys and pretty much start filling out a 12-inch line. And once again, something else that we're taking a look at, more G.I. Joe, more 12-inch goodness. There's not much that I liked about the movie The Rise of Cobra, but I did like the Baroness. I like the actress that played the Baroness. I like the representation of the Baroness. I thought she was really good. Her and Storm Shadow, I thought were really good in that movie. I kind of wish they would have been the ones that would have maybe carried over to the Snake Eyes movie or something. I don't know. The only thing I didn't like about the Baroness was at the end when there was that whole, oh, she's been brainwashed, she's actually a good person. No, she should have been Baroness, and that should have been that. Now, what we have here is also a Comic-Con exclusive, 2009 San Diego Comic-Con exclusive right here. And this was only for sale for just $10. And I will show you why in a moment as soon as I get this box out. Because as you can see, that big piece of cardboard was a slipcover, and this box has a really nice, like, scaled snake motif going along with it. That is really nice. That Cobra logo really stands out. Baroness in red reflective lettering right here. And then we open it up. Whoop, her guns fell. And there, there she is in the box. Her bands have been snapped away, but there's a really nice, picture of her right here. And then we have the figure in this red velvet lining. Now, you may have noticed as soon as I opened it up what was missing. She is supposed to have a machine gun in addition to her 2 pistols right here. But she doesn't come with that. That wasn't part of it. He had either lost it or the person he had purchased it off of had lost it. But I don't mind that because I think she looks great. Hold on, let me get the pistols in her hand. Once again, this is a 12-inch figure, a 1/6 scale figure. And I think she looks really good right there. She's going to go really good on the shelf next to Storm Shadow. Look at all of this is cloth goods. She even has cloth leggings right here. She has great articulation. Everything moves. Everything works. Everything is solid. The face sculpt on her, I think, is fantastic as well. I don't think it looks exactly like the actress who portrayed her, but I do think it's a very good face sculpt. Very Baroness. Even has her trademark glasses on. Do these come off? I didn't even try that. Hey, check that out. Her glasses come off. But we're going to leave them on for now. In the back, she has these twin holsters like the classified Baroness has. That you can pop those in. And then there are straps to hold them down. But the holsters are very tight. And I'm always afraid I'm going to rip them if I try to jam them in there all the way. See that? Real tight. But I think she looks good. I'm not worried about her missing the machine gun because we will be able to find something for her to wield. Whoops. To wield. And the last thing we have is the G.I. Joe Classic Collection D-Day Salute. Now, once again, this is not a vintage piece. Well, not vintage as we think of the G.I. Joe 12-inch figures vintage, because yes, this is another 12-inch figure. This is from the 1997 collection, when they were reissuing the 1/6 scale figures, redesigning the 1/6 scale figures. This has a very nice swing open box that you can see the figure inside. You can see the 1st Infantry, the big red one. This tells the story of D-Day over here. This makes a very nice image of the landing. I mean, look at that. Look at how beautiful this is. You can even see on the inside that it has the headline, New Allied Landing. This looks fantastic. This may not be the vintage collection, but this looks really, really good. And if we flip it around to the back, we can see everything that is available on the inside with the figure, the uniform, not the Jeep. We have the tent. We have all of this. It even tells us what is included with it right up top here, where we have helmet with netting, wool knit cap, shirt, pants, boots, leggings, jacket, web belt, canteen with holder, ammo pouches, mess kit, M1 rifle, bayonet with sheath, T-handled trenching tool with cover, tent, wire snips with holder, gas mask with holder, haversack, bedroll, and dog tags. This is a fantastic piece. And like I said, I know it's not from the original vintage 12-inch line, but this looks fantastic. And I am really on the fence of whether I'm going to open this or not, or whether I'm just going to leave it in the packaging. I really feel like I'm leaning towards leaving it in the packaging just because of how good, how pristine this looks. I got this at a really reasonable price, And it was one of those things where I just couldn't pass up. He had other ones as well. He had a Panzer Grenadier from World War II that was dressed up during the Russian front. And there was a Tuskegee Airman as well. But I was on a budget. I had already bought a lot of stuff for G.I. Joe. This was the one that I settled on. This is the one that I eventually chose to purchase. I'm going to be keeping my eye out for some of these other pieces. And I think I'm going to leave this boxed up. I really do. I know that goes against everything that I kind of do, but I really think I'm going to leave this one as is. See? I told you she'd look good with Storm Shadow. I mean, that really looks good. I even like her with the M60 with the grenade launcher underneath. But that has been my haul for RetroCon. I went way more into G.I. Joe than I thought I was going to, but it kind of makes sense because I did say I was going to start leaning into it more and backing off the DC Multiverse line. But I really like this. I really like this start that I have to this 12-inch line to go with, like, probably more of the Fig Zero characters or figures that I'm going to pick up. I had a really good time. I can't wait for last year. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for going on this journey with me, looking back on what was done over the weekend, looking back on what I picked up just a few days ago. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, play well, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.